Hello, students. I hope all of you are doing great. And now we are going to start the third lecture of our chapter, that is our environment. Now, in this lecture, the very first topic that we are going to look at is an important topic, and that is the abiotic components. Now, we have already studied about what are biotic components. We are going to study about the abiotic components. So, abiotic means Abiotic just means that they are the non-living components. They are the non-living components of the ecosystem. So we can say that these are these are the non-living components of ecosystem, and these include the physical environment. Because they are the non-living components of our ecosystem, that means they include the physical environment around us. So these include the physical environment. And the physical environment, that means these include factors like the abiotic components include all the factors like soil texture. These include the factors like soil texture, water, and air. Also, they include the inorganic substances. They include also inorganic substances and the inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen, water, phosphorus, sodium, potassium, and calcium. So these are the inorganic substances, and they are some are elements also. So sodium, potassium, and calcium. So abiotic components include all the physical components that are present around us. The soil texture, the water, air, phosphorus, sodium, potassium, calcium, these are the elements. And the oxygen, nitrogen, these are the gases. So these include almost every non-living thing that is present around us. Now, the inorganic substances, these are involved in the cyclic of materials. So these are involved. These are involved in the cyclic of materials. That means there is a cycle of materials present in the ecosystem, that is the carbon cycle, the oxygen cycle. So these are in cycle of materials in the ecosystem. And there are some organic compounds also present. So the organic compounds are like protein, carbohydrates, lipids. These are the organic compounds and they largely form the living body. And these organic compounds, they largely form the living body. So our body is made up of proteins, carbohydrates, lipids. So these are essential components that are present in our body. So they largely form the living body and link the abiotic and biotic components. And they used to link the abiotic and biotic components in a manner. And link the biotic and abiotic components. So this is how the ecosystem works. Because of these components, there is a linkage between the biotic and the abiotic components, and that's how the ecosystem works. Now we have studied about the various components of ecosystem. Now the next topic that we are going to study about is that what are the climatic factors. So climatic factors are also important. That what are the climatic factors in our ecosystem? So these are the factors like these are sunlight, that what is the amount of sunlight in an area, temperature, pressure, humidity, moisture, rainfall. So these are all the climatic factors. The sunlight, that what is the amount of sunlight, how is the normal average temperature of any region, what is the pressure, what is humidity, moisture, and rainfall. So these are all the climatic factors that depend and that affect the ecosystem, etc. And these factors, they affect the ecosystem and they affect the distribution of the organisms also. So these factors affect the distribution of organisms. Now, how will they affect the distribution of organisms? We are going to talk that if we all know that in a desert region there are different types of organisms, and in a humid and in a rainy region there are different types of organisms exist. So we can call that the climatic factors largely affect what are the types of organisms that are present in any region and how are their adaptability factors. Now, the next topic that we are going to talk about is the functions of an ecosystem. We have talked about what are the components of an ecosystem, the biotic and the abiotic components. Now we are going to talk about what are the functions of ecosystem. So the functions of ecosystem are really important, and the very first function of an ecosystem is that ecosystem indicates It indicates the available solar energy. That means the available solar energy, that is the energy or the sunlight that is available in an environment. So available solar energy and the efficiency of an ecosystem to trap the same. So it also indicates that the amount of solar energy that is present and the capability and the efficiency of an ecosystem. And the efficiency of an ecosystem, the efficiency of an ecosystem to trap the same. Now the next point is that it gives information about the available essential minerals. Because the ecosystem is there, so we can predict the what are the solar energy and how can we trap, what is the efficiency of an ecosystem to trap the same. Also, it gives the information about the available essential minerals, because minerals are very important for one survival. So it gives information it gives information about the available essential minerals and their recycling periods. And their recycling periods. So, what are the essential minerals that are present in an ecosystem and what are their recycling periods also? We can have an information about that, and that's why we can plan accordingly that what functions and what steps we have to taken to survive for the survival of any organism in the ecosystem. Now, the other functions of ecosystem are, the other functions is that it provides knowledge about the web. So the function of ecosystem is also that it provides knowledge it provides the knowledge and it provides knowledge about web of interactions, about the web of interactions, that how are the interactions taking place in an ecosystem and what are the interrelationships, and the interrelationships among the various population as well as between the population and the abiotic environment. So what is the interrelationships among the various populations, among the various populations and also as well as between the population and the abiotic environment also. So between the population and the abiotic environment. Also, it helps human beings to know about their conservation of resources. It also helps us, that means the human beings, it also helps human beings it helps human beings to know about conservation of resources, to know about conservation of resources. Also, it helps us to how we can protect us from for pollution and the inputs required for the maximum productivity. So it helps in protection, and protection from which? Protection from pollution or protection of pollution. And the inputs that are required, and the inputs that are required for the maximum productivity. So the inputs that are required for maximum productivity. And also the function of ecosystem as that in an ecosystem, the process of energy flow, there is an energy flow and the biochemical cycles. So in an ecosystem, the two processes, of energy flow and the biogeochemical or the biochemical cycles, and the biogeochemical cycles, that are the nutrient movement, that means how the nutrients are moving in the ecosystem. These are the cycles we have studied. So these are the nutrient movement cycles, that how nitrogen and oxygen, movement of nitrogen and oxygen is happening in an ecosystem, proceed side by side. They are going to proceed side by side, and the energy flow is unidirectional. And the energy flow is always unidirectional. The energy flow is unidirectional, while the movement of nutrients is cyclic. While the biogeochemical cycles, that is the movement of nutrients, is cyclic. Also, Now the next topic that we are going to talk about is an important topic, and it is called as food chain. So what is food chain? We are going to talk about that. So food chain can be defined as this is the sequence of living organisms in a community. So food chain is the sequence of living organisms. This is the sequence of living organisms in a community in which one organism consumes another organism. So it is a sequence of living organisms and in which one organism, here one organism consume the another organism for food, consumes another organism, and that helps in to transfer the food energy, to transfer the food energy. And this is called as a food chain. So this is called as a food chain where one organism consume the another organism to transfer the food energy. And also we can define food chain as the we can also define the food chain as food chain is unidirectional. So we can define it as food chain is unidirectional where transfer of energy takes place only in one direction. So unidirection means only in one direction. So a food chain is unidirectional. A food chain is unidirectional where transfer of energy takes place only in one direction. Where transfer of energy takes place only in one direction. Or we can say that food chain is a sequential process. Food chain, we can also define food chain as food chain is a sequential process a food chain, we can define it as a sequential process. That means it is in sequence. And a food chain where sequential process which represents who eats whom. So it's a sequential process in which represents who eats whom. So who gonna eat whom? It's a process and it's a sequential steps of that only. Also, there are one definition also of food chain that we can define as that food chain is an arrangement of different biotic groups. Biotic means the living groups. So food chain is refers food chain refers to an arrangement of it refers to an arrangement of different biotic groups to an arrangement of different biotic groups in a sequence of energy transfer where energy transfer is happening. So it is an arrangement of biotic groups where energy transfer is happening. So in a sequence of energy transfer, and these biotic groups are and these biotic groups these biotic groups are producers. Producers means the plants. Herbivores. Herbivores are the organisms that eat the plants, and the carnivores. Carnivores are the organisms that eat the herbivores. So for example, if we have to take, for example, let's say we are going to take producer as grass. So grass is being eaten and the energy is transferred to deer because the deer eats the grass and energy is transferred to him. Now, the third one, deer is eaten by lion, that is a carnivore, and the energy is then transferred to him. So this is how this it is an example of a simple food chain. And this is how the food chain occurs. This is the sequential order, and this is the arrangement of different biotic groups, and they are arranged in the sequence of energy transfer. That means who eats whom. Now we are going to look at the other examples of food chain. So we can look at how simple food chain operate in grassland. So that one we have discussed is a simple food chain. In grassland, or we can say as forest. In grassland or forest, and how the food chain occurs is that grass or plants, we can say grass, they are the producers. So they were eaten by deer, and deer are the herbivores, and they were further eaten by lion. So lion are carnivores. So this is an example of a simple food chain on forest or on grassland. And now we are going to talk about in this food chain grass represents the producers that are the first trophic level. So grass is the first trophic level, and grass can synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis. So we are going to say that grass synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis. By the process of photosynthesis, and as we all know that here grass is being eaten by deer, so we are going to talk about that as grass is being eaten by deer, or they represents the herbivores or the primary consumers. So here grass is represented by or grass is eaten up by deer and they represent the herbivores. Grass is eaten up by the herbivores that is the deer and we can also call them as the primary consumers. So they can be called as primary consumers. They can be called as primary consumers. And as they are the primary consumers, then deer in turn is consumed by lion. Then further deer is consumed. So as you can see here, the energy is being exchanged and the energy is being transferred. So deer is consumed by deer is further or deer is in turn consumed by a lion. Deer is consumed by a lion. And the lion here is the carnivores. And they are represented by the carnivores. They are represented by carnivores. Or we can say the secondary consumers. Or the secondary consumers. Or the secondary consumers. Now, we are going to look at another example of food chain also. So, the another example of food chain is that a food chain in grassland which has 4 steps. So, we are going to talk about a food chain in grassland only. A food chain in the grassland which has 4 steps. So when a food chain in grassland has 4 steps, how can we classify the food chain? Let's say grass we are taking and grass is the producer. And then grass is eaten by an insect and the insect is the herbivore. And further the insect is being eaten by a frog. Further insect is being eaten by a frog and that is the carnivore. That is the carnivore. And further here frog is being eaten by an eagle. So that is eagle is a top carnivore. That means no one can eat eagle further. So that is a top carnivore. So this is how a food chain in a food chain, when it has 4 steps, is being made. Now we are going to talk about the next topic, and the next topic is that what is the significance of food chain? How is food chain so important that we need to study it? So now we are going to start, and we are going to study the significance of food chains. So what is the significance of food chain? We are going to study about that. The study of food chain helps in understanding the food relationships, that how are the food relationships between the various organisms. So the study of food chain, the study of food chains help in understanding helps in understanding the food relationships and interactions among the various organisms. It helps in understanding the food relationships and the interactions among the various organisms that are present in the ecosystem. So we got to know about the relationships between the various organisms in the ecosystem. Among the various organisms among the various organisms in an ecosystem, and the food chains, it is the transfer of energy and materials. So the food chain is the transfer of energy and materials, and it is the transfer of energy and materials between the various living components in an ecosystem. So this is the transfer between the various living components It is the transfer between the various living components of an ecosystem. Now we are going to talk about that what are the other significance and the importance that food chain provides. So the food chain transfer energies. As we know that the food chain transfer the energies in an ecosystem. So we can say that the food chain gives a dynamicity to an ecosystem because the food chain transfer the energy and materials. So because the food chain transfers the energy and materials, the food chain transfers the energy and materials. So that's why they give dynamicity. That means they give dynamicity to the ecosystem. That means that in an ecosystem, the food chains are pretty dynamic in nature, and they provide a dynamicity. That means nothing is hard and fast in an ecosystem. So it provides dynamicity to an ecosystem. Or we can say biosphere. And the next point in the significance of food chain as that we are going to discuss about is that the movement of toxic substances the movement of toxic substances, or we can say the harmful substances, the movement of toxic substances like the pesticides, weedicides, etc. We can so they can move through the food chain also, because there are the transfer of materials. So these toxic substances can also move through the food chains. They can also move through the food chains, and they can be really harmful. So they can prove very harmful for the whole food chain. So they can be very harmful. I hope this is clear to all of you. And now, with this, we are going to end the lecture here only. And thank you, everyone.